if that's just on my end or what.
Let's see that.
Oh, I see. Okay, cool.
Bien, gente, aquí vamos de a poco. En fin, let me... No minutos, ya. Ok, gente, disculpe los errores técnicos, pero ya vamos a comenzar. ¿Cómo estamos, pues, nuestros? Esperamos que bien. Me presento acá, MS Amber, acá una vez más para comenzar esta entrevista. Este maestro acá presente, llamado Allyster Black, quien es showrunner, es artista y que trabaja para, digamos que trabaja para Equestria Daily. Así que, ok. Master Allyster Black, when you want, if you want, make a better presentation than I made in Spanish.
Sure thing. Yeah, just introduce myself.
Of course, Master. You'll do it.
Heck yeah. My name's Allyster Black. My name is Allyster Black. I'm with Equestria Daily. I've been with them for quite a while now. I do art and work on events, host panels at conventions, and really do all sorts of things. There's no shortage to what I end up doing throughout the day. But it's an honor to be here on Pony Latino, and I really appreciate you guys swinging by and listening to us today.
Oh, dinner for us. We don't believe that someone from the Equestria Daily can accept the interview from us. But okay, we're here and just we will begin to make this funny thing. Sorry, everything like that. So okay, let's begin. Master Allyster Black, what is your opinion about the Generation 4 of My Little Pony?
Generation 4, gosh, well that's what got me into it. I was 14 years old when I got into the pony fandom. It was something that really took my life by surprise. I didn't expect it. I certainly wasn't expecting to get into it as much as I am, but it was a lovely journey, and really I was blown away by the community content, the things that people made for the community, whether it be art, whether it be music, things like this even. I mean, just people coming together about pony was just very inspiring, and it over the years just became more so as I began to see people step up and really make some of the most incredible things I've ever seen online. So Generation 4, the show itself, though, was I mean, one and the same. It was a lightning in a bottle, I guess is what you could call it. Everything from the voice acting to the writing to the animation, really everything that Generation 4 represented was just an incredible thing to witness and to be a part of. I really love the storytelling, but more so I really love the characters and how they developed through that storytelling. And I don't think that's unique to anybody in the fandom. I think we all have our favorite characters and things that draw us in, but really it was the characters for me that really drew me in and really got me engaged with the show. Not to mention we had Faust on it, Lauren Faust. She was, an incredible person. She had done all of this great work before, so to see her name on that, really it was a no-brainer that I'd at least give it a try. So yeah, I guess that's about the gist of it. It's been a couple years since it's been over now, which sucks, but we got Generation 5 right around the corner, so I'm looking forward to that. I think a lot of people are, and we're looking to see what's coming around the corner. It's a new page in the chapter of Pony, and I'm excited for what's to come.
Okay, right. So, what is your opinion about Equestria Girls?
So Equestria Girls is weird because for me, I'm sure many of you guys remember back in the day there were a lot of bronies who didn't really want to watch it, who didn't really care for it that much, who didn't really give it the chance that it was needed. And I think initially I was probably in that boat. I didn't really know what to think about it. I saw it. I saw like the bronies react that they did for it. I thought it was really fun. But it wasn't until the last few years that I actually went through and watched some of the later episodes, the later movies that they had done. And as I began to see it kind of like grow into its own thing, I was kind of blown away. I was like, wow, this, especially once it became its own thing, I was like, this is pretty. My apologies. This is pretty cool. I'm really upset that I hadn't given it the chance as it was coming out to watch it, but I do enjoy it. I do love it a lot.
Okay, that's interesting. What about the comics?
So the comics, that's a good question, because not a whole lot of bronies seem to actually read the comic books, and I get that it's it's a little bit different than maybe what people are used to, but the comics are awesome. Everything from the main series to all the side comics, they're all wonderful. Andy Price is a fantastic artist. We have somebody from the fandom Pencils who does some comics. I love them probably just as much as I love Generation 4, the animation. But I don't know. We still have the comics, which is awesome, and they still kind of fit a similar demographic as far as who they're talking to in the storytelling. So I'm excited for what's to come, and I've loved every bit of it so far. The comics are a really special thing for me, and I encourage, if nobody's given them a chance, really do try them, because the comics are amazing.
Okay, that's undeniable, but okay. Keep going. What's your opinion about the Generation 5, about the movie, the shorts, and the special?
Oh boy! So the movie was wonderful. Boulder Media were the people who got that dropped on them, and they did great things like Gumball. They did Wander Over Yonder. They did they've just done Foster Home for Imaginary Friends. They had so many different things on their track record at that point that it wasn't crazy to think that they do a good job, and they did a really good job. I just spoke with Robert Cullen, the director of Boulder Media and of A New Generation, and he was an incredible guy to talk to, and you could tell that everything he does is incredibly inspired by passion and love for what he does, which is animation, and running a studio, and he does it very well. I was blown away. I became Team Izzy right away. I love Izzy. Although I love them all, I can't say that I didn't like any particular bit about it. It was all just a really fun experience. When they started doing Tell Your Tale, the short on YouTube, or the shorts on YouTube, I like those too. I got that they were like a little bit more targeted to a younger demographic, which was fine by me. I mean, I enjoyed it, and I've watched them since. When the special came out, the one that we just had a last week, I think it was, I wasn't sure what to think at first. I watched it over and over that day. We were doing showings of it over in our Discord server, and it was something else. I think the movie might have set a little bit of a higher standard for the show than what we would have expected, which people who have seen movies get turned into TV shows later on or adapted to TV shows might get that there's going to be a difference in quality because they don't quite have the money to spend on it. But despite that, I think they did a really good job. I think there's still a lot of questions that are to be answered that haven't quite been addressed yet, and that's good that they didn't give us everything all at once. And as time goes on, I'm hoping they start to answer that, and as time goes on as well, that they start to figure out how to do things a little bit more efficiently and maybe up the quality visually. But really, I'm just along for the ride. I as long as there is pony culture to be had, I'm going to be a part of it, and I'm going to at least follow it. So I'm excited for G5. I'm excited for everything to come. And here in a few months, we're going to have the new series dropping on Netflix, and I'm looking forward to it.
Oh, interesting. Do you have I was thinking about the generation in general. So well, it's time to think about it. Don't expect anything less. Something good at least.
Yeah, there certainly is.
So well, we'll continue. Yes. let's read the comments. Reading to Bad Flirt. Let's Eva wants some scandal.
Some scandal, you said?
Yeah.
Oh, goodness gracious. They want some scandal? They want me to talk about some scandal? Is that what they're wanting?
Wow.
I don't know about that. I don't know.
Do you want to?
I don't think I might be able to talk about some things, but I mean, I stay far out of stuff like that myself. I'm not really a part of it, but if there's something you want to talk about that's happened to the community, I probably wouldn't have a problem with that. It just depends.
Well, if we can, just I will question about my list, and then we talk about scandal if you consider to.
Sure thing.
And well, and the last commenter, Sark Koila, just said that he don't talk too much English, but he will see what about the interview. Well,
I would have stopped and learned how to speak Spanish if I could have done it quick enough for this. I apologize. That's my bad. I couldn't learn it quite quick enough. So that's my apologies.
Oh, don't worry. I will make the effort to bring subtitles to the interview later, probably in a week or two. But well, just the time we'll say that. Well, following the interview, let's talk about you, Master. Please tell or resume to us what do you do for a leap from to the fandom brony.
Heck yeah! So as far as my involvement in Pony in particular, it's quite interesting because I do a whole lot. I do a lot of different things. I got my start in Pony. The thing that inspired me to start making content was illustration. I saw a lot of fantastic Pony artists, people who drew, painted, animated, and really just created this really inspiring set of work. And I was like, one of these days, I want to do something like that. So I picked up a pen, I picked up a pencil, grabbed some paper, and tried it. And although it took me a long time to draw anything that I was a little satisfied with, I really enjoyed doing that. So initially it was drawings for the Fall at Equestria fandom. That's really where I got my start in Pony. I would draw their characters like Little Pip or Blackjack from Project Horizons, and some of the other characters from some of the other fics. And as people started spreading those around and sharing those images, it became inspiring to me because I was like, wow, people are actually excited to see what I'm putting out. And that was not something I was expecting, especially so early on. And really, that wasn't something that was crazy uncommon. I mean, people were sharing Pony content all the time back then, but to be featured on a lot of different sites like Equestria Daily before I started working with them, or like I had a Reddit channel for a while where people were sharing my Little Pip drawings, and that was just it blew me away, and I was extremely honored. I eventually took that motivation. I went to college. I went through a program for 2D animation and worked for a little bit in 2D animation. I loved it to death. That's something I have a lot of things in the work with right now, and I'm extremely excited for what's to come. But as art was playing a big part of my life, I also started getting involved with more, multimedia type of content, if you will. So when I started going to conventions, I started running panels. I started hosting events. I started selling my artwork. And those things allowed me to kind of branch out and explore things that I had never tried before. One of the things I really enjoyed was the going to conventions, because it was a way for me to engage with the community directly, talk to people who otherwise I might not have gotten to, and connect with them in a way you really couldn't over the internet. Even though we're based on the internet, there's still all of these awesome places, brony meetups and things that you could go to and meet people. And it's really a magical experience a lot of the time. So when Equestria Daily rolled around, which was surprisingly early on in my time into Pony, I also began writing articles, doing editorials, doing artwork for the site, of course, but I started doing interviews like these with people in the community. Although they weren't audio or video at the time, they were just typed up. I would send them the answer or the questions. They would send me back the answers, and we put them up on the blog. And it was a lot of fun. At the time, though, a lot of it wasn't content creators, which was a shame. It was mostly show staff and people who had actually worked on the show. And that was awesome. That was a really cool experience. But in hindsight, especially now that I'm doing these, talking to creators and talking to people who had contributed to, the Brony side of the fandom, I kind of like those a lot more. They're a little bit more interesting. And maybe it's because I have watched that content for years and I finally get a chance to actually meet with some of these people. But really, it's been a wonderful experience. And that's mostly what I spend my time doing these days, is working with Equestria Daily, going to cons, and drawing. That's pretty much my entire day. Every waking hour that I'm not sleeping, eating, or something of that nature is spent online trying to dig up pony content, doing interviews, drawing something, or we've been setting up a Discord for the past couple months, so that's been taking up a lot of my time recently. But a lot of fun. Pony is what I do. Pony is what I do. Pony is who I am. Pony.
Interesting last words. Well, don't I don't hear frequently someone talking about interview people that is not a lot famous, so but it works for on the fandom, but it's a commentary. So, well. Okay, Master. Let's talk about the tools. What device or program do you have to make your work like a brony?
So for me, as I said, I mostly, if I'm doing stuff on like EQD, that's a blog, so I can do that from really any device that I have. Of course, just being at a computer of some sort with a keyboard is the most efficient. For art, for the longest time, especially when I was doing the animations, I used a little Wacom Cintiq, which is just a little digitizer, a screen on a tablet where I could draw directly onto it. And eventually, I switched on over to an iPad. I thought it was a little bit more lightweight, a little bit easier, less distractions. It just has everything right there in front of me that I need, and it can do it pretty well. But mostly those two. I'm not really too crazy on the tech. I don't have a whole lot of different stuff going on, and since I'm not a musician or anything, for the interviews though, microphone, camera, that's about the gist of it.
Okay, right. What do you consider like your inspiration to make all of this?
Kind of two-parter. As I said before, originally just coming into the fandom as like a blanket statement, it was just content creators. I loved everything about Pony, and I explored it constantly. I was always trying to find new stuff, and especially when I was younger, I was always on the trends. If there was something big in Pony, I usually knew about it, and that's just because I was so enveloped in everything. And really, though, when I started getting more nuance to the workings, I found out what kind of worked for me and what attracted me a little bit more. And for that, initially, like I had mentioned, I had drawn a lot of Fallout Equestria art. For me, it was things like Fallout Equestria. I was a big Fallout and Elder Scrolls fan growing up. Loved the games to death. So as Fallout Equestria was being written and released, and same with Project Horizons, I followed those. I made art for them. Eventually got to interview the creators, which was a wonderful experience. So I'd say Fallout Equestria, of course, is a little bit more specific. Pony content as a whole. Aside from that, it's as I said, really a lot, just a whole bunch of different things. Bronies React was also a big thing for me. I'm not sure how big that is in the Spanish-speaking community, but Bronies React is a big thing for me, and it's always been a big inspiration for me on the camera-facing side of things. Just the acting, the presentation, the jokes. It was always something that I really enjoyed seeing. And they still do it, which is awesome.
Oh, understand. And it's curious, do you mention the you mentioned the follow request? Yeah, this is something like inspire a lot of people. This it's something that no one can deny. Well, uh, let's go. Um, what do you consider your most difficult thing about you? What do you do to the fandom?
That's a good question. Difficult, huh? Goodness, I always try to challenge myself and try new things. It's very often that I stay doing the same thing for too long, or doing it the same way rather for too long. I'm not sure if it's just because I'm have ADHD or what the deal is, but I am always trying new things. And the thing about when you're trying new things is you start at the bottom often. Some things translate, some skills, some ideas certainly cross over, but most of the time, if you're doing something new, you're going to have to explore it as it is, a brand new thing. So when I'm approaching a new thing, whether it is the first time I went and performed at a convention, that was really, really rough for me because I wasn't used to talking to people very well, very much at that time. I wasn't good at hosting events and taking people from point A to point B. And I struggled a lot with that. I struggled a lot with communication at the time. So that was really rough. Aside from that, art just as a whole is constantly a challenging experience, at least for me. Drawing something is one thing. It's different from person to person, but for me, I like to create my own scenes, my own backgrounds, my own characters, and do that all off the top of my head. So unless I find like something that really inspires me, or I find something that I could get a clear and very focused idea on, I'm going to be struggling throughout most of it, trying to figure out what I want or what works. And that creative process of just trying to conceptualize something can be extremely difficult. And all those, there's a lot of tips and tricks that help with that. I'd say just coming up with an idea half the times can be half the battle. So the social aspect initially first starting, that was extremely challenging. And then to date, every single time I have to sit down and draw something, unless I know what it is, it's usually a pretty big challenge.
Oh, get right. So, you can have what you want, what you need to make a big project. Let's call people, let's call money, time. What do you want to do?
What do I do on what again? I'm sorry. I apologize.
Okay. If, if you want to make a big project, and do you have to resource to make it? What do you want to do?
If you want to make a big break, right? Is that what you were asking?
A big project. Sorry.
A big project.
Right.
Well, I think it depends on what you want to do. Speaking from like the art side of things or like the technical side of things, for the type of public facing things that I do, communicating that is, it varies. So for art, it's the thing that would help you most is like you'll see a lot of people will develop video games, and in like video game development, often just as a user myself, I'll find that a video game might have really, really flashy art. It might be really, really flashy on the outside, but on the inside, the coding, the programming, the thing that actually makes the game fun and engaging, the concept of how the gameplay works, that sometimes leaves a lot to be desired. So I would say, just as a blanket statement to a lot of the things that I do that are a little bit on the larger scale, I really encourage people to have a very clear focus, a very clear idea of what it is they want in their head. And when they go about executing that, when they go about actually doing that project, that they lay down the foundations that are required to do it and make it work right. And although sometimes that can be a little tricky just to come up with off the top of your head, especially if you're new, one of the best things you can do is, well, two things really. You can find somebody else who has experience in doing that, somebody else who has done it and has done it well, and maybe it's you're a fan of their content, it's something that they've done successfully, going to them and asking them for feedback. Or when you have ideas, or after you've gotten some feedback, going to people in the community, because we have a pretty big pony community, and not just pony, even anything you want to do, going to the people who might share that similar interest in what you're trying to accomplish and asking them for feedback, and really taking that to heart, really seeing what works, if what they're saying is practical, if what they're saying actually applies to what you're working with. And if it does, or if it can, trying to implement that, trying to see what works with what you're doing, so that when the product finally comes out, it function over form. And really, that's probably the best advice I can give, because at the end, when you have all of these things in place, you can always change the way things look. You can always change the way things are presented. But if you have something that really works, a concept that really engages people from the beginning, that's the best bet. And that's just that's just what I apply anytime I'm doing any sort of project, really, whether it be art, whether it be trying to set up like a community site, whether it be, whatever the case may be, that's the best way to go about it for me.
Wow, understandable. But another part about the video game. What do you think about the last video game that came out? I think like a week ago.
I'll be honest with you, I haven't played it yet, but I will say I have a lot of friends who have, and there's one person in particular. I won't name names here, but somebody had told me they beat the game in 50 minutes, and for here in America, that's the game costs about $40 USD, which is a pretty penny. That's just a little shy of what you would spend on like a full like A-list game coming out, or A-list, but the top of the line types of games that you usually expect to pay for that amount. It's not much cheaper, and for that content to only be $50 for you to pretty much 100% of that experience from end to end, sounds really disappointing. I think I'll give it a try. I'll try it. Maybe borrow it from a friend or something. But at this point, I don't know. I'm a little skeptical. It's Pony. It's Pony, and it's official. It's an official Pony game. So don't get me wrong. I'm going to try it, and I'm probably going to like it. But from what I've heard, it's a little scary to hear that it's $40, and I'm only going to get like a couple of seconds out of it to actually play it. But it is what it is.
Oh, okay. Understandable. Thank you for the answer. It's very funny, I have to say. Bueno, antes de continuar en inglés, aprovecho de pedirle a todos los que escuchan por acá en español que bueno, pongan sus preguntas para el maestro acá presente. No siempre se escucha a alguien que habla inglés, viene de Equestria Daily. Sorry, master, I had to send a message to the Hispanic people, so to send you some questions. I hope they don't were afraid to send them. Sorry.
Oh yeah, send all the questions you got. As scandalous as they need to be too. We don't mind.
Of course, we need them. But okay, let's keep going. Okay, Master Allyster. What do you think about the fandom brony? At least in your country, or in your language. What?
Just what do I think about the fandom in general, you mean?
Well, it's a bit difficult to ask, because like I interviewed lots of people from these countries, like Latin America, before, so they have a lot of differences. So it's difficult to ask about the fandom brony in general. At least if you get to know about these countries, who talk in Spanish. So I guess about at least your the fandom in your country.
Okay, so for the fandom here in America, it is quite interesting because, as far as I could tell, especially growing up, we had it became quite a pop culture phenomenon here, and I think that expanded all over the globe. That wasn't by any means just an American thing, but I do know that a lot of the content creators that I follow uh, to date are not American. They're either from the UK or they're from Russia, especially in the case of musical artists or in the case of illustrators. But here in America, the culture is I think really defined the most by the conventions. We have a lot of really big conventions here, and we have a lot of people who are able to get to them. And that was probably the most interesting thing about the community here in America. Just the fact that we had so many of them and that they seem to get so much attention. And although there's a lot of places and a lot of conventions I'd like to visit overseas, the ones that are here in America are the easiest to get to. So I've been to most of them. Um, and the cultures of the conventions here historically have always been a big thing. We have Comic-Con, we have some of the larger furry conventions, we have a lot of the larger um, just just general convention kind of scene, I guess you could say, just globally for the most part, and that really defined a lot of what we did here as a result. A lot of the people who make content go to those. A lot of the people who engage with content to date have been a part of those for quite a while and continue to go to those. Um, but aside from the conventions, I can also say that, like in the instance of Equestria Daily, a lot of the things that really solidified the culture, um, to my knowledge, were American-based sites like FemFiction or Derpy Boru or um, Equestria Daily, and we had sort of a global hub for people to come to, even though they were hosted by Americans. Um, so really, I honestly don't think the cultures are probably too much different than one another. I'm sure there are a lot of differences, and a lot of people bring in their own cultures to it. But with America, we're a little bit of a hodgepodge of a lot of different things. So it's probably sometimes a little harder to point it out unless you're looking for it. And for me, I'm just kind of along for the ride. More so, I guess I would say I'm more interested in seeing more of the other cultures these days. I was a part of a convention this year called Ponies Online, which I don't know if you've heard of that at all. Ponies Online. It was hosted on Discord. They had a Spanish-speaking community as a part of it. They actually had people who spoke Spanish come in. They moderated the chat. They had a Spanish-speaking section separate from the rest of the con, and it was pitched as kind of like an American, Latin American, Spanish-speaking, English-speaking kind of convention. And people were able to come together and share the content that they enjoyed. And that was probably the first experience in a while where I got to see all of these different people from any walks of life and in any different language come together and be able to have that sense of community. And that was awesome to see. I really hadn't followed it that much. And since then, I've kind of been blown away, to be honest with you. That's why it's awesome to be able to be here and talk to you as well. Just looking at what you guys do, looking at what, there's a lot of different sites that represent the Latin-speaking community, and it's incredible to see. I'm blown away with everything I've witnessed so far.
Well, thank you for your experience. And talking about the event Ponies Online, of course, we know about it. They work for from the Argentinian side, Resistencia Brony. So well, they talk to us about helping about the publicity. So well, if you like their participation, we were so happy anyway. Well, what's your opinion about the fandom Brony online, at least in your language? If do you consider it generous? Like, for example, someone goes in a group or a server and goes to ask for a question or help directly. The Bronies will give them we'll we'll give the help to them. Sorry.
No, you're fine. Yeah, I think that's something that I love about the pony fandom in general, just across the board. Uh, Everything I've witnessed in pony has been very transparent, is the word I would use. I don't know how well that translates, but very see-through. If you have a question, you can go to almost anybody in the fandom, no matter how much notoriety, how much fame, how much success, how much attention they might have. You can ask them questions, and for the most part, a good chunk of them will actually sit down and they'll talk with you. They'll share their experiences with you. They'll help you. And that goes anywhere from the top to the bottom of pony. And it's kind of unlike anything I've seen before. Um, Although I can technically only speak to the English side of things because that's all I've experienced, I can say that that's probably something that happens everywhere. People are very helpful. People are very kind. And if somebody hops in, you said they want to include people, it's likely that they can find another chat because there's a lot of different communities for people within the Brony fandom, and it's likely that there's another place that they can go to that they're going to fit in. That's going to be a wonderful place to them, in a place that they can consider home, especially these days with places like Discord. If somebody doesn't fit in here, if for whatever reason they aren't interested, maybe, or maybe there's certain things that they're looking for that one place doesn't have, there's always a place around the corner that's going to have what they're looking for eventually. We're a very inclusive bunch. We always have been. We really like to help people out, and we usually don't put people aside because of differences. And that's something that I love just about the pony fandom in general.
Right. Let's 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 take a variety in this question. From what state are you from? State, sorry.
I am from Kansas City, Missouri, about smack dab right in the middle of the United States.
Okay, thanks. Uh, Only in that state. How is the fandom running there? Uh,
Just as big as ever, I'd say. Like everywhere globally, we all kind of hit a little bit of a decline. There's less people than there were when it was just a fad. When people were just in it for the lulz, the memes, the ha-has, the funnies. But as time went on, we kind of stuck with the people who really did enjoy the content, stuck with the people who really did care about pony. And that culture is very much vibrant and alive today. Every day I can come on and I can see that there's new content being posted, that there's new people engaging with content, and there's a lot of love still to go around. So here in America, conventions are picking back up again. It's been a minute, but they're finally back where they're going to be popping up, and they're back into full swing. People can go, they can check those out. They can go see things like they used to, go to charity auctions. And I think it's making its comeback. Since the pandemic happened, since COVID had happened, it kind of shut us down. So we're coming back from that, and that's wonderful to see. And as I said, community's just as strong as ever.
wow, very interesting. Um, and about the pandemic, of course. How that affect the conventions, at least in the fandom.
Well, with here in America, I think it less becomes a thing here locally and more so a thing online. So originally, ponies were something that happened online. It was something that people only went to online, and then conventions popped up, and people also had the opportunity and the option of going to those. But when COVID hit, cut all that off, and you saw people like they had before back in the day start moving online again. Not that they didn't throughout the times they weren't at cons, but that's where the focus was. And a lot of people were doing cons online. Like we had mentioned, Ponies Online, that was one of the ones that popped up since the pandemic had hit. And you kind of got to see a little bit more of that classic culture, if you will, that classic Brony fandom like when it started. And as I said, Pony's kind of always been an online thing, so it's nothing new for sure. But I think it definitely reminded us how much we love going to conventions, how much we love meeting people that enjoy the same things with us in person. So now that that's over with, and we have the opportunity to fly, to travel, to go to meetups, whatever the case may be, it's really kind of reminded us how special those things are, and has people really excited to be a part of it again.
Wow, very, very good. Okay, talking about the communities online. Aside from the Equestria Daily, do you have another community, let's call group in Facebook, server in Discord, or blog, even forum, that you feel more connected? It doesn't care is it not from the fandom running.
So not Equestria Daily, though, right? Because we have our own forum and our own Discord and everything. You mean outside of that?
Exactly.
That's probably a case-by-case thing. It just depends on who you're talking to. I know Seth back in the day is a big fan of Kotaku, which is a news site, not unsimilar to Equestria Daily. Cal Payne, the other administrator, works on Keenspot on Hunters of Salamonstra, which is Joe Giuseco, which is actually a part of the Spanish community. He was a big creator back in the day, working on his comic. But forums, blogs, outside of the fandom, really, I can't say that we do. I think a lot of us are kind of riding the pony train and have what we have going for us going pretty strong. So I can't speak for them. I know for me, that's not really my thing too much. I'll sometimes browse furry stuff. I'm not really too engaged with furry culture or the furry fandom, but I do appreciate art, and it's kind of got a lot of similarities to pony. So sometimes I'll go and pop on and see what's going on that end, but not really any place in particular, to be honest.
Okay. Well, what do you say to someone who wants to make the same thing that you? What do you want to say? Sorry, say him or her.
Of course, I'd say go for it. I'd say the worst thing you can do is just not do it. I would say that make sure that you're passionate about it. If it's something that you really want to do and you want to do naturally, then put your all into it and give it a go. And if there's ever a time that it feels like it's becoming a job or a chore, unless you have if you have an obligation to continue to do it, that's one thing. But if not, then don't make yourself do something you don't enjoy, because that's probably the worst thing creatively that you can do is to force yourself to do something that you genuinely dread and aren't enjoying. Yeah, but really just do it. I know that's probably not the greatest advice, but if you're passionate and you make yourself passionate about these things, then anything that comes as a result, whether it be skill, whether it be success, whether it be people being interested in your content, that's going to come naturally from you continuing to do that. So really just getting in there and getting it done, that's the best way you're going to be able to learn, and that's the easiest way and the quickest way you're going to be able to find out if it's something that you want to do. And that's, as I said, probably the most important part of it all.
Okay, thank for the words. Very beautiful. Okay. Que recordemos una vez más a los que nos ven que, bueno, manden sus preguntas, que no veo ninguna. Oh, sorry, Master. I just said to the people that for some reason we didn't receive any question, but okay, there's a lot of interview yet, so well, just follow. What's your favorite pony?
Oh, Spike. Spike's my favorite pony. No, I'd have to say Fluttershy. Fluttershy is my favorite pony. I've got a She's been my favorite pony since the beginning. I've never changed. I'm very boring. There's something about Fluttershy. I liked how she developed. I don't like that Discord stole my waifu. That wasn't very cool. I wasn't really a fan of that. That wasn't very nice. But still, I love her to death. I love what the writers do to her, whether it be turn her into Fluttered Bat or make her scream at animals or turn into the Hulk or whatever the case may be. She's always got a fun thing to do, and she's always changing and evolving, and I love her to death. I mean, Spike's cool, though. Spike's also a really good pony, but Fluttershy. Yeah, Fluttershy is what I'd have to say.
Okay, we understood, but let's just say there's probably more people like Fluttershy, so well, it's not necessary that can be a pony, but well. Sorry. Okay. Okay, I see. Sorry. Oh. Allyster Black. Why do you have your name? Where did the name came from?
Oh, that's a question right there. What I did was I Googled Allyster Black, and there weren't many results on YouTube, and there weren't many results on Google, and I was like, yeah, this will work. Allyster was just kind of off the top of my head. There was a couple of fantasy games I played back in the day, like maybe Dragon Age or something, that had the name Allyster, and of course I changed some of the lettering. Black, though, was inspired by a furry webcomic made by Jay Naylor that I can't remember the name of off the top of my head. It's been a long time since I've seen it, but I really liked that last name. So I grabbed that last name, and it was just when I was thinking of Allyster, Black came to it because of my time spending watching that or reading that comic. And I took the two, threw them into Google. Nothing came back, and I was like, all right, that'll work. Anything that I put in, Google's going to pick it up pretty quickly, and it'll be good marketing, branding wise. So kind of a boring answer. I will say since about, I don't know, like 2 years ago, I don't know if you are a wrestling fan at all, WWE or one of those big wrestling groups. One of the wrestlers changed his name to Allyster Black. It has a little bit different spelling, but now we're competing on Google trying to beat each other to number one on a lot of different spots metrically, and it's been quite the hassle, but boring. I put it into Google, and since it didn't get many results back, I was like, I'm going to go with this.
Okay, simple. Nothing to complicate, right? But the question, Jay Naylor is the GIF artist, right?
I'm sorry, one more time?
Jay Naylor is that GIF artist, right?
He is an artist. He draws like cats. I think they're cats. Well, he draws all kinds of stuff, but his comic book, I think, was about anthropomorphic cats who lived in like a human-like world. And yeah, he's an illustrator, Jay Naylor. He's been in the furry fandom for quite a while. I think he's still doing stuff as well.
Oh, wow. Okay. So maybe I talk about another artist. Well, some people have the same name, but okay. Well, and now let's take aside the interview, and we take the only questions who the people said to us. The Seba question from me: have you ever heard of Fighting is Magic, and what do you think of the current game, Team Fighting Heart?
I have heard of them. Fighting is Magic, of them's Fighting Herds. I followed it from the beginning. Whenever we had a lot of stuff back in the day, like I almost said Jane Naylor, Jane Animations, a couple of other creators who were getting shut down on YouTube, and Fighting is Magic. They got that cease and desist from Hasbro. Hasbro said to cut it off, so it was really sad when they did. But then when Lauren came through, she hopped on Main Six. She did the character designs for them. That was kind of one of the most awesome moments I've ever seen in the Brony fandom. The fact that she came in and kind of after leaving the show was, I don't know, it felt like kind of like a middle finger to Hasbro a little bit, but she helped them out. Main Six went on. It was on Steam, and now they're going to be releasing it on console soon, and that's crazy. A pony game, which I'm gonna, even though it's not, I'm gonna call it a pony game because it is everything but a pony game entitled. So we're gonna have a pony game on consoles, fan made pony game. That's crazy. I love that to death.
Oh, cool. But one of the fighters looks like a pony.
Well, she could do it, but it's her. She designed the ponies, and she also designed the them fighting her characters. So they're basically the same. I mean, if Lauren makes something, we can even say that it's in the same universe. They're just not ponies because Hasbro's Hasbro. You know, they're a very, very rich, very, very aggressive company that cares a lot about its brand, and they're not going to make it easy for us. But it's the closest we can get to a pony game without it being a pony game.
Okay, thank you. Just a comment. I hope that they launch with the console version. The more data for the history mode. Well, Halloween. About your work in Equestria Daily. How is your relationship with the other staff? Do you like to talk, or you just make your work there? You are teams who makes things to because you like My Little Pony.
We all hate each other. We all hate each other a lot. No. We actually get along super great. Everybody's a pretty good friend to one another. And a lot of us especially those of us who have been, we've been doing this for quite a while now. We've known each other for a long time, and that makes it a lot easier for us to talk because we know each other's quirks. But Seth is who I know the best. I've known him the longest, so we probably talk the most. But there's a lot of people who've left Equestria Daily who aren't with us anymore, or don't contribute actively, and we still talk with them from time to time. Everybody's got a different relationship. Not everybody clicks. Not everybody is going to feel the same way about each other. And especially back in the day when we had, when I first came onto the site, there were a ton of different people working on it. And although even though I was extremely socially awkward back in those days, I still managed to get along with pretty much everybody. But as of today, when things are a little bit smaller and more tight knit, we still chat. We still talk about things. And although a lot of it's pony, it's not always. So that certainly extends outside of pony as well. But yeah, I'd say that the staff team at EQD is they're just a bunch of fantastic people, and we all have a lot of respect for one another.
Wow, interesting. So, well, like we said at the beginning, let's talk about some scandal if you want to. It seems like you have a scandal. Okay.
So scandals for me, I am not involved in any sort of scandals because I don't really do a whole lot. I don't engage with a lot of different people, or I do rather, but I try to keep drama at an arm's distance. So I don't know. Scandals for me are a little bit rough just because I'm not involved in a lot of them directly. I only hear about a lot of them, and for the most part, a lot of the ones that I hear about either involve my friends or, and maybe with that as well, I might know a little bit more information to it that makes it less of a scandal, and makes it more of like a personal attack, which is kind of unfortunate, but. I'm trying to think of something like the only thing I could think of like scandalous that would be like in my range to be able to talk about would be like Hasbro or Larson giving Twilight wings. Like that's a scandal to me. Just as a fan being a part of the content for so long and seeing us grow with these characters, and then Larson coming in and just smacking a big old pair of wings on her back and pretending like nothing happened. That was kind of crazy. And he totally did that on purpose. It was totally an attack on the fandom. If you want to talk about scandals, actually, I got a good one here. Just the other day, Jim Miller, the director of Gen 4, I did an interview with him over in the EQD podcast. And when I asked him about why there weren't any bat ponies in Generation 4, like why they stopped appearing, he said it was because the editor-in-chief at EQD, Sethisto, liked them so much and kept pushing them so much that he just had to cut it out despite him. So officially, bat ponies were not in Gen 4 towards the end because Equestria Daily talks about bat ponies so much. So there's a scandal for you. I think that's pretty big news. That's pretty big news, and that's probably going to upset a lot of people.
Wow. That's a bit surprising, I got to say. So, okay.
Yeah, it was surprising to me too. I was pretty surprised.
So well, you heard people? Sorry, but okay. Thank for share the opinions. But I like to talk and the last question because I don't like scandals, but okay, give people what they want. Equestria Daily had something like a scandal. I mean, a lot of people sending messages of trying to make a extortion, something like that. Sorry, but I can't find the word. Sorry. Do you have something like that?
I'm not quite sure, to be honest with you. EQD, despite being kind of the biggest place in Pony, we don't see a lot of that, and that's just because we just don't engage with it much. Like I don't know if you've ever heard of Horse News before. Horse News being another pony news site. They probably it would be more of a topic for things like that. With EQD, it's rough because we might have things come through time to time, but generally speaking, they're pretty short-lived, and they usually don't revolve around Equestria Daily. Most of the gripe we get is like, why won't you post our stuff, or why are you posting so many bats, or but generally speaking, no, nobody will like message us privately or try to start anything or do anything that's really even that crazy. I think we're probably pretty boring in that aspect. I'm sorry, we don't really do a lot of stuff on that end.
Don't worry. The other thing is that love thing that they happen anyway. But at least when sometimes I see posts about opinions, do you have some people commenting something? How can I say it? Something about they don't like that opinion?
You mean on Equestria Daily?
Of course, some posts on opinion.
Yeah, well, at the end of the day, I think, in something that I love about not only Pony but about the internet is I really think people should be allowed to express whatever they feel. If they have an opinion, whether I don't think it's good or not, whether somebody else don't thinks it's good or doesn't think it's good or not, I think it's important and very important that they be allowed to share that, and the people at the very least respect them for it. And it's something that the communities are always done pretty good on, and it's something that we continue to do pretty good on. So when I see a comment that maybe to me doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me, might not be the most positive, I consider it for what it is. I consider that people have other opinions in the fandom, and not everybody's going to be happy about 100% of the things that go on. That's just not the way it works. There's too many of us, and that's just human nature. But I'm glad that they have the ability to do so, and I hope that there's never an instance where somebody is targeted or put down because they want to say something that might not be a popular thing to say, or that might not be something that other people agree with.
Okay, thank you to give that effect for us. But okay, we finished with the scandals. It's not very much, but there are some interesting facts. Something like that. Well, let's talk about your side of showrunner. Do you have a, like I say, a program, right? A program. Sorry.
Yeah. Right now, at the moment, the only thing we're actively producing regularly is the Horse's Mouth, which is the interview series where we've started working with like Boulder Media, the people who did Generation 5. We got some people from Hasbro. We got some people from Wild Brain. We got some people who worked on Gen 4 who are coming in. And then a ton of people, an absolute ton of people, about 40 people or so, at least in counting, that are coming in over the next year to sit down and talk with us about their experience in the fandom. Sort of like a podcast where we just reminisce about old stuff that happened back in the days, their involvement in it, and then a little bit of what's to come, a little bit of the content we're looking forward to, and that's going to be right around the corner for us here real soon. So at the moment, that's the only thing we're currently publicly working on. We might have some other things in the works on the back end, but that's all I can speak on, at least. Then, of course, once conventions start back up and we start going to those again, I'll be at a lot of those. I'll be running events, hosting panels. I can't say any of the ones I'm going to at the moment, unfortunately, but there's some around the corner here I'll be going to. And when those are finished and as those are going on, we're going to be doing content there and producing our convention coverage series. We're going to resume that and start posting on that again. So those two really are the only things, and the Horse's Mouth, as I said, the only thing that's actively out at this moment.
Okay, that's enough. It's difficult to find some guests to your program.
I'm sorry, one more time.
It is difficult to find the guests to your program.
Oh, no, not usually. So far, I've been blessed that everybody I have reached out to, with no exception, has been interested not only in being a part of the program, but in participating in it rather with a lot of interest and excitement. And that's something that we didn't really expect coming into things. I think we have Equestria Daily to thank as being a staple in the fandom so long that kind of draws people in naturally. But, it's been a while since content has been extremely active. So for us to have these people on board is really a shock, a surprise, but also extremely flattering because, 12 years down the line, it's crazy to think so many people still want to be a part of our content. But to be honest with you, not really. And that's crazy. Everybody we have reached out to has been on board immediately.
Wow. Very cool, I have to say. So, and because we didn't receive questions, I have a look today. So, well, let's accept it. If the Generation 5 don't have the success and the fandom begin to decrease his population, let's say, do you still have to make content for to Equestria Daily?
If I understand correctly, yeah, I'd say so. Like content is a consistent part of the fandom, and I think that regardless of how things go, not only is it going to be something I continue to do forever, just because I love ponies so much, but it's unlikely anytime soon that would be something that would drop, at least for me personally. But certainly, I think things are on a good track to continue to go and continue to go strong.
Oh, well, that's great. Okay, Master Allyster. I don't have any questions, so this is the end of the interview. I have to say. So, do you have any doubt? Any? Do you want to send greetings? I something to say about me. Have a something like this in English acceptable. Say what you want. This is your time.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Really, I'd just like to, I mean, of course, thank you very much. You have been a fantastic host. And thank you, Pony Latino, for giving me the opportunity here today. I really appreciate that, guys and gals. I'm sure you probably have a couple floating around. We are very appreciative of all the time that you've given us. And not only that, but that we have so many vibrant communities outside of the English-speaking community that are still involved with Pony. It really is. I mean, every little bit helps keep the culture alive, helps keep everybody interested, keeps content creators doing what they do and what they love. And I hope that continues for years to come, and I'm sure it will. I guess on my end, if you haven't heard of Equestria Daily, y'all should definitely check that out. If you haven't at this point, that's kind of crazy, but we do appreciate everybody who comes and visits the site, especially these days. We have a lot of new content coming on, and we're really excited to share it with people. We do have our Discord, of course. If anybody ever wants to go check that out, it's available on our site. And yeah, I hope I can start seeing, now that conventions are open again, if anybody can make it out here to the U.S., or if any convention brings me maybe closer to your neck of the woods, you're part of the globe here very soon, then I hope to be able to see you there as well. But yeah, if you guys are wanting to make content and create and do something for the community, please do it. Now is just as good a time as it ever was to get in. And there's tons of people who are as well. And you really should jump in too. I mean, ponies are a lot of fun. If you can do something fun through Pony, you should give it a go. And everybody's going to be excited to see what you have to do.
Okay, Master, thank you. I had to comment too. It's unbelievable that you accept the my maybe for an interview, because I try to send messages via email to every member of the staff from my QD. They never answer our messages, but well, it's good that you made it. So well, thank you too for that. But anyway, let's send greetings to the members of the staff of the QD. They do it great. So well, let's just wait to get ready to Pony Latino time.
And yeah, thanks for having it, and I'll let them know. I'll let them know you said hi, and I'll give them a talking to for not getting back to you quicker. It's unacceptable.
Okay, thank you. Well, okay, Master. Thank for everything. Have a good weekend, and let's just wait to finish the pandemic so we can go to conventions again, not only in the United States and over the world.
Heck yeah.
Okay, Master. If the time wants, I can see you again. So well, see ya. Goodbye.
Adios. Thanks for having me, and thanks for tuning in, guys. I look forward to seeing the next interview you guys put out. So I hope everybody else is too.
Oh well, We hope that. So, ok, eso fue cómodo, pero ok. Espero hayan tenido la oportunidad de ver en vivo y en directo este sujeto declarando que bueno, no hay pony murciélago, porque algo que parece, algo que querían mucho los bronies de hasta 2013, porque bueno, el editor lo molestaban demasiado desde el fandom. Wow. Lo siento pues, maestro Butler, pero no mandaron más preguntas. Estaba la oportunidad de preguntarle al maestro aquí presente cuando se podía, pero yo no tengo todas las preguntas, menos cuando hablo en inglés. Así que ok, tocará conformarse con lo que tenemos, y lo que tenemos es bastante. En fin, aviso que mañana habrá podcast muy genial entre varios bronies de bajo tierra incluyéndome, así que bueno, lo dejaremos por ahí nomás. Saludos a todos los que van a participar, que creo que eran, si me acuerdo, eran Seba, gracias por su pregunta, Warframer, DDM, Easy, ¿qué más? Desidene Javieri, me faltaba uno, déjame acordarme. Y TSS, sorry. En fin, gente, no lo molesto más. Que tengan bonita tarde, tengan bonito fin de semana. Fuerza para todos, que por acá hace frío y encima está lloviendo. Se despide Mesías de Pony Fritos y Pony Latino. Hasta la próxima, gente, al menos mañana. Nos vemos.
Hola, soy Luz y les doy la bienvenida a Pony Latino. Aquí podrás hacer muchos amigos. ¡Diviértanse!